Tax hikes are not going to reindustrialise the economy. I mean, how does she think she's going to do that? They are just strap lines with no substance behind them. If she came out with some substance that was worth listening to, I think that's just nonsense. You know, we're not going to reindustrialise by hiking taxes. What we've got to do is be selective in the way that we encourage businesses into the UK with high-paid jobs, with high technological advantages that become exportable all over the world in the years to come, and especially in the environmental sector, where the environmental disasters that we're going to see are going to increase year on year on year. And if we're at the head of technology on those environmental technologies, both intellectual properties and maybe manufacturing items, we'll be able to export those all over the world and grow our economy in high-paid jobs. So everybody wins. The exchequer wins, the companies win, and the individuals in the country, the normal working people, they win. Everybody wins, but we have to get the policies right. We can't just drive people out of the country and lose those wealth creators to other domains.
What about the other message that Louise Haigh has in the Times today, that Labour are not selling their vision? Aside from the policies, they're not telling the right story. And that's why Reform have come up on the rails and done so spectacularly well last week.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think, first of all, people are only seeing the negatives of what Labour have done. There is some positive stuff being done behind the scenes. You mentioned Google coming in, but there's a lot of positive things that they're doing to try and drive the economy. They're just not doing enough. And the budget was a negative to that, and will discourage people from coming to the UK and discourages people from staying in the UK. So we need to be smarter. I mean, for instance...
But I'm sorry to interrupt, John, but isn't Rachel Reeves' problem that she has to make the sums add up? She has to do what she can to balance the books. She can't spook the markets. We all saw what happened when Liz Truss did.
Go on. No, I was going to give you a solution.
We're all about solutions. Let's have it.
Let's have a solution. Not a popular solution, but look at the budget and what they did in the budget to take 40 billion into their exchequer, which I don't think they will achieve because rich people will leave the country and they won't get the money that they forecast. But let's assume they do. But it makes us look business unfriendly. So why not, for instance, put 10 pence on a litre of fuel, very unpopular with the whole country, just for a few months. But petrol's come down dramatically. Most people wouldn't feel that 10 pence because it'd almost be masked in the drop in the price of oil. Do you know 10 pence on fuel would raise £25 billion? There's £15 billion that could be taken out of public sector spending because we've got a 1.2 trillion cost. We only need to take 1% out, 1% saving, which I would say is very, very easy. I've done that all my life in business. You take much bigger numbers out than that. You can do it without making stupid decisions like, for instance, Elon Musk has done in America. You can do it sensitively in a humanitarian way that saves 15 billion. That's the 40 billion that they've taken out of the economy at the moment from people who are now being driven abroad. And we've got to make more intelligent decisions.
I do love the simplicity of your silver bullet, 10p on a litre of fuel duty. But I mean, any politician listening to that would say, you're insane. They would desert us in droves.
Well, they would not at all. It would make no difference whatsoever because fuel's been varying between 130 and 180 in the last year or two. People are used to big variations in fuel prices. You put 10 pence on a litre of fuel, there's 25 billion into the exchequer. Yes, people won't like it because there's always a lot of people that won't. Nobody wants any tax of any sort. So people are not going to like it. But within 3 or 4 months, they've forgotten it because the price of fuel is varying all the time. And you've not done any damage to the economy at all. You've put a tiny little bit of inflationary content in there. You've made a few people unhappy about it, but in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, it's all long since forgotten, and you've raised your 25 billion with no damage to the economy.